We know by definition parallelogram has two pairs of parallel sides. We can kind of think of this as, what if I do Control Z? Nope. Cool. If we think of extending the sides of our parallelogram, this is like the example we had in the very first day, one of the very first days of this unit. We should remember some rules about how these angles work. When we have parallel lines cut across with a transversal, that's one of your parallelogram rules, the angles of a parallelogram. We're going to need to solve this problem. But first I want to tackle y. We'll find y and then we'll find x using our parallelogram rules. We can find y using this triangle. We've got 2 out of the 3 angles of our triangle. What's this angle up here in the corner? 90 degrees. We've got 28 degrees, therefore we can find y. Once we find y, we can use our parallelogram rules to find angle x. So take a minute, tell me what y is, and then we'll see what x is. How many degrees are in a straight line? 180. How many degrees are in a triangle? Full triangle. We've been talking about triangles. We've been talking about quadrilaterals. All quadrilaterals have the same number of degrees. We've been talking about the degrees in a circle. So, degrees in a triangle are 360 is going to be our squares and circles. 180 in our triangle. 360 in any quadrilateral, 360 in any circle. How many radians in a circle? 2 pi. We don't need that for this problem, but we will need it later. So, using the fact that there are 180 degrees in any triangle, once we add our first angle to our second angle, subtract that from 180, what do we get for our third angle? Thank you, Stacia. 62 degrees. Y is going to be 62. If y is 62, what do we think x is if y is 62? It is also going to be 62 because opposite angles in a parallelogram are congruent. So that angle will be congruent to that angle. X is also going to be 62. So there are plenty of ways to solve these problems. For example, we could use the fact that we've got alternate interior angles. So if we take a look at this shape, this is getting really, really ugly really quick. We've got the square indicating we've got a perpendicular angle up here, which means this angle here beside of the 28 is also going to be 90 degrees. Because it forms that Z shape. That Z shape means we've got alternate interior angles. Let me see if I can do this properly. Z shape is those alternate interior angles that we talked about with the parallelogram proofs that we're going to have to revisit before you take the test. Alternate interior angles, alternate interior angles.